I'm here with Robert Mohammed, head of for financial aid, director of financial aid, Winston-Salem State. Robert, can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Project Scholarship? I know you are one of the motivators, if not the motivator, as to where Project Scholarship came from in challenging us to have a new way to inject new money into the system. And with what the concept and where we've taken it so far, what are your thoughts on what we're doing here with Project Scholarship?
It's exciting because it actually uh, harkens back to a time where you have buy-in, and I mean buy-in from the community, where that you don't necessarily have a barrier of a third party that has a lot of structure, but it's more or less organic. The student is able to work with the company by way of project scholarship, and you're able to have projects completed. And the projects may be one-off small, it may be medium, but it's a learning opportunity. It looks to me like when you think about it, it's putting tools in a student's toolbox. It's building a brick wall of sorts, of the different types of bricks and a nice mosaic of sorts. But it also is giving an opportunity for a student to match his skills or her skills with the company, and the companies to see just what type of students we're producing. I think sometimes we often don't think that our students necessarily have some of the tools we may have had years ago around with respect to internships, or whatever the case may be. But in some ways, it's almost like the old guild idea where you were an apprentice for someone. So if they needed something done, you demonstrated a skill. And if the skill is around IT, if the skill is around some sort of project that has to do with writing or grammar or some sort of mass communication project, and that's what the company needs, the company gets to benefit, and they're not spending a lot of money to get it done. And I think that also is going to be a great selling point for someone to be a part of a community, to work with students and work with a company like Project Scholarship, but also be able to demonstrate a return on the investment without having to expend an exorbitant amount of money.
And I know we were just discussing yesterday. We spent a lot of time in Google, and we have great aspirations for using Google's tools for nonprofit and those aspects. But this is more than the big companies. It's more than for the Googles and the large companies of the world, because they're already getting the students. And what I think as a big driver here is the ability for local real estate agents, for all types of local people to really, who always say there's no good talent out there, there's no young kids. How they just don't know that they're out there. You get the experience, you get to see them. They don't see what these kids can do, and on a fair notice for the kids, they don't know what these companies want and need from them. So the ability to marry the two, I think, is going to be critical at the for the 20 million small businesses, not just those 3,000 large businesses. What are your thoughts on that?
I think this is very true, because I think ultimately it's about being able to demonstrate a desire to understand a brand, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is the student is a brand of a school, but if the school is not necessarily engaged in the community, or if the school is not doesn't know where these companies exist, it doesn't know how to reach out to them, this having being a bridge, that company may then be able to have a bigger relationship with the school ultimately, or with the larger community ultimately, or somehow there is a tie back to the school with the company understanding there's a resource there. And sometimes I think we're so compartmentalized because of the wonderful world of social media. This allows a type of relationship to be built that I think is organic in nature, because it can pay off exponentially beyond the actual project itself, or projects. It can build relationships that are long lasting.
Excellent, excellent. And finally, what advice? I mean, again, I respect your advice in all areas. So, what advice do you have as we shape the projects that are available for students to do for the companies? Obviously, the companies are going to tell us the type of projects that are most important to them. But as an educator and someone who works with these brilliant kids all the time, what is your advice for us? We don't want to mess this up. So, what do you think we should be doing?
I think one of the things we see with students now, and it's interesting because it does somewhat go back to the energy from the 60s. They are very socially conscious. They are very, very politically astute. And so finding a way to tie a project to their passion, or maybe even having to understand that on the surface it may not look like a direct fit, but once they peel back the layers, they can see how it actually, a project can tie to something they actually are passionate about. What we find with a lot of the young workers today is they're more concerned about passion and following dreams, or finding a level of comfort than staying for the long haul with a company like we may have seen with our parents, staying 25, 30 years. So they follow the dreams in cycles. So as a project is developed, or projects are developed, they may be part of cycles for students, just finding a way to tie it so they understand, they can find passion, and they can find a space of happiness in doing so.
And that's part of what one of the main drivers in the beginning. It's not only does it allow the company to get exposure to the students ahead of time and let students go pro early, as I like to say, but it also allows the student to know maybe I shouldn't be focusing in this field as they're going through that decision as to what to actually major in as they get projects in that particular major and field.
That's true. That's true. And I think that's one of the things also. We don't have the opportunity as much as we did years ago in higher ed to let students find themselves. It's just cost prohibitive. So you would have students changing majors over the course of 6 years, 5 times. But something like this, it's almost as if there's a way to match a volunteer activity up to someone. And if they're able to do that and say, this is what I want to do, but I don't necessarily want to do it to that capacity. Maybe I want to dial it back. Instead of doing the web design, I want to work maybe with some of the coding in some other area if it's an IT project. So they'll find that, and they'll be able to experience, maybe I'm not the person that needs to be the face of this. Maybe I need to be behind the scenes, but I'm okay because I'm still a part of that passion. And that helps them hopefully make a better decision when they begin to look for opportunities for employment.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Robert. We appreciate it. It was great having you as always.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too.